There is a moment in almost every day when life begins pulling you in 100 directions at once. The noise rises, the responsibilities multiply, the heart grows tired, and without even noticing, you begin to move through your life without truly being present inside it. But before this day takes you too far, stop for just one moment. Stop and listen. Because what needs to be remembered here is not a small reminder, and it is not a passing comfort. It is one of the deepest truths of this existence. Every soul, without exception, needs Allah. We all need to raise our hands. We all need to call. We all need at some point to say with honesty, humility, and that beautiful brokenness that opens the heart, Ya Allah. And among the greatest words ever placed on the tongue of a servant, among the heaviest words a heart can carry while turning toward its Lord, is one simple prayer that has echoed through the lives of believers for centuries. Guide us to the straight path. Think about that. Out of all the things a human being could ask for, Allah placed this prayer at the center of daily worship. Not once in a lifetime, not occasionally, but again and again, in every prayer, in Surah Al-Fatiha, the opening of the Quran, the chapter without which the prayer is not complete. Why this prayer? Why guidance before wealth, before healing, before victory, before relief? Because the one who created the heart knows what the heart needs most. And what the soul needs more than anything else is not comfort, not success, not even visible security. It needs guidance. Guidance is the key to everything. It is the inner compass that gives meaning to every blessing and direction to every hardship. If you are given guidance, then even in pain you are not lost. Even in confusion you are not abandoned. Even in weakness you are not empty. But if guidance is missing, then a person can possess the world and still feel like they are walking in darkness. Guidance is not just information in the mind. It is light in the heart. It is that quiet certainty that helps you recognize truth when the road splits into 1,000 roads. It is that inner clarity that whispers, "This way." And that light is not earned by status, money, titles, or intelligence. It is given by Allah alone to the one who truly seeks Him. That is the miracle hidden in sincerity. If you ask for guidance honestly, if you truly want the path that leads you closer to your Creator, if your search is real and your heart is not playing games with Allah, then He will not abandon you. This is not motivational language. This is trust in the promise of Allah. He does not turn away the sincere heart. He does not leave the one who knocks on His door with genuine longing. The path may not appear all at once. The light may come gradually, but step by step, what was once dim begins to grow clearer. And before that prayer for guidance, Allah teaches us something even deeper. You alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help. That is where everything begins. The heart must return to its proper place. No one deserves your ultimate dependence but Allah. No one deserves the center of your fear, hope, trust, or surrender but Allah. Because one of the greatest tragedies of human life is not simply suffering. It is suffering while leaning on something that cannot carry you. It is hoping in what breaks, trusting what disappears, loving what cannot save you. But when the heart learns to place its weight where it truly belongs, something begins to heal. And maybe that is why life is designed the way it is. Maybe that is why peace never stays complete for very long in this world. Maybe that is why, just when one part of life settles, another part begins to shake. Because Allah created the human being with need. Need is not a flaw in you. It is not evidence that you are weak in a shameful way. It is part of the design. It is the language your soul speaks when it is being called back to its source. Without need, many hearts would forget. Without weakness, many souls would drift too far into the illusion of self-sufficiency. But in the moment of pain, something opens. In the moment of helplessness, the heart remembers what it was always made to know. It needs Allah. Look around and you will see that hardship visits everyone. The rich are not free from grief. The poor are not alone in worry. The young carry questions they cannot answer, and the old carry memories they cannot escape. No one passes through life untouched. But the difference is not in who suffers. The difference is in where they place their suffering. A heart without faith throws its pain into the emptiness of blame, anger, and despair. It searches for somewhere to put the burden and finds no place that can truly hold it. But the believing heart has somewhere to go. It has a Lord who hears, a Lord who sees, a Lord who never grows tired of the cries of his servants. This is what makes faith so powerful. It does not promise that storms will never come. It promises that when they do, you will not stand in them alone. The sea may rise, the wind may grow violent, and your feet may tremble, but deep inside there is still a certainty that the one who controls the sea will not let your story slip beyond his knowledge. Faith does not erase human weakness. It teaches weakness where to rest. And that is why your need is not your enemy. It may actually be the bridge between you and Allah. The heartbreak that made you raise your hands, the fear that pushed you into sujood, the confusion that made your eyes fill with tears in the middle of the night. These things may not have come to destroy you. They may have come to wake you up. Sometimes what feels like a wound is actually an invitation. Sometimes what feels like loss is the beginning of return. But calling on Allah is not just about words. It is not about collecting beautiful phrases while the heart remains absent. Allah does not only hear the sound of the tongue, He hears what lives underneath it. He hears the trembling you cannot explain. He hears the ache you never said out loud. He hears the prayer hidden even from yourself. So speak to Him honestly. You do not need perfect language. You do not need eloquence. You do not need to sound impressive. What you need is presence. What you need is humility. What you need is that deep inward truth that says, "My Lord, I have nowhere else to go." And when you call on Him, do not come only with demands. Begin with gratitude. Begin by remembering what is already in your hands, the breath in your chest, the sight in your eyes, the strength in your limbs, the moments of protection you never noticed, the blessings you treat as normal because they have not yet been taken away. Gratitude softens the heart. It reminds the soul that even before the prayer is answered, mercy has already surrounded it. Then ask. Ask for everything. Ask for the big things and the small things. Ask for what embarrasses you to ask people for. Ask for what you think is impossible. Allah is not burdened by your requests. In fact, your asking is part of your worship. Your need for Him is not something to hide. It is one of the purest ways to stand before Him. And do not let your dua become limited only to yourself. Pray for those you love. Pray for those who are struggling. And pray even for those who hurt you. That is where the heart begins to rise above its wounds. That is where it starts to resemble prophetic mercy. And if you have ever made dua and felt that the answer did not come, do not let that become a doorway for despair. The response of Allah is deeper than the imagination of the impatient heart. Sometimes He gives exactly what you asked for. Sometimes He gives something better. Sometimes He delays because the right time has not yet arrived. Sometimes He stores its reward for the hereafter in a way that will leave you speechless. And sometimes, without you even knowing it, He removes a harm that was already on its way to you. So no sincere dua is wasted, not one tear, not one whispered plea, not one night of waiting. This is what trust really means. It does not mean you understand everything. It means you are at peace, even when you do not. It means saying, "My Lord, I do not see what you see, but I know you are wise. I do not know what is coming, but I know you are kind. I do not understand this path, but I know you never abandon those who turn to you." That kind of trust changes a person. It gives patience a soul. It gives waiting meaning. It gives the darkness a quiet light. And maybe this is where the journey truly begins. Not when life becomes easier, but when the heart becomes more honest. When guide us to the straight path stops being a line repeated in prayer and becomes the deepest cry of the soul. When need stops feeling humiliating and starts feeling sacred. When dua stops being an emergency measure and becomes a way of living. When Allah is no longer only remembered in crisis, but becomes the center around which everything else is understood. Because everything in this life changes. Health changes. Money comes and goes. Relationships shift. Seasons turn. But Allah does not change. He remains. He is constant when everything else is unstable. He is near when everything else feels distant. He is the one door that never closes, the one love that never betrays, the one refuge that never collapses beneath the weight of your heart. So return now, not later, not when you feel perfect, not when you have fixed everything. Return as you are. Return with your flaws, your confusion, your weakness, your unfinished story. Return with your sins and your hope and your trembling and your need. Because Allah does not ask you to arrive complete. He asks you to turn toward Him. That is where guidance begins. That is where healing begins. That is where the lost heart finally remembers the way home. And perhaps the most beautiful thing of all is this. Every time you return, you will find His door still open. Not barely open, not reluctantly open, open with mercy, open with welcome, open with a tenderness greater than your fear. So raise your hands and say it as if you mean it. Say it with the whole weight of your soul. O Allah, guide us to the straight path. Because in the end, the one who is truly guided has found everything, even before being given anything else.